episode of Treasures Galore. That was a shout out to my buddy Carter, formerly with the YouTube channel House Husband Diaries. Beginning this morning, kind of reminiscing on all the old Forrest Fenn YouTubers. House Husband Diaries, Flipside, Why Must I Go, Smell the Sunshine. I mean, so many more. And then the staples in the Forrest Fenn community. Alan Kay, Joe Lewicki, Hooley, and all those. And I'm glad that there are some familiar faces that have continued in their treasure hunting activities with this new treasure hunt called There's Treasure Inside by John Collins Black. Not John Caldwell Black. I have seen some people get scammed by buying a book that looks almost identical to There's Treasure Inside, and unfortunately it is not. So people like that have something coming to them. I really believe that. So anyways, kind of reminiscing on the Forrest Fenn days. I know there are most of you probably listening are old subscribers that are continuing with this new hunt, and you guys know what I'm talking about. We really didn't get any closure with that hunt, didn't get any answers, and so many questions that, I felt like we probably deserved to know, but we didn't get any. And I don't blame Jack at all. Honestly, legally wise, it's best just to keep your mouth shut. So, anyways, I was going to make a video going over the Forrest Fenn chapter that's in There's Treasure Inside, starting on page 203. And as I was doing that video, I realized I kept going back to the poem, and so I figured I probably should make a video going over the poem first, and then my next video going over the chapter and looking for any hints or anything that would help us decipher the poem. Because JCB got the inspiration for this treasure hunt from obviously Forrest Fenn, and Forrest Fenn had a poem just like his. And Forrest Fenn had came out with the memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, and he said there was hints to help you with the poem in that book. So we had that full book. And then he released Too Far to Walk with the treasure map, and then he released his third one, Once Upon a Time or Once Upon a While. I can't remember the name, but anyway, so he had 3 books, hundreds of interviews, Q&As, questions with Forrest answered, and we had a plethora of information out there to help us. And right now, all we have really is just JCB's poem and the chapter that he said that he put the hints and clues in. So, we should first go through the poem, I feel, read it line for line, and really study it. So, being a Forrest Fenn searcher, you obviously it's probably in your mind still hearing Forrest Fenn say that he felt like an architect doing his poem, and he spent 15 years on that thing. And so it was carefully crafted, he said, in each word and wordplay and stuff like that. So going through the Forrest Fenn poem, you really had to break it down and look up synonyms and what he could mean for each possible word. You couldn't discount anything in that poem. So I am taking that approach with JCB's poem. Now, obviously, JCB had 5 years to do this hunt, close to 5 years, I guess. And he also had 4 other treasures to hide and 4 other sets of clues to place in his book. So probably not as well thought out as Forrest Fenn's. Maybe not as deep, or I don't know. I don't know how much time JCB actually spent on his poem. Obviously, it really resembles Forrest Fenn's, and he took kind of the style and stanza of Forrest's poem that he included in his memoir. So, anyways, going with that approach, looking at it, breaking it down word for word, Right now, I'm just going to do a general overview of the poem and then possible future videos actually breaking down uh, word by word. But right now, let's just go over this poem. So let's go over the first stanza. The first stanza reads, I cruise along a road I know and park my car just off the side. Near where I'd search for heavy loads, it was not there, although I tried. So, first line, I cruise along a road I know. So, there's two things that stick out to me in this. I cruise. That's an interesting word choice. I cruise. Makes me think of, man, I was cruising down the street, maybe going fast at a high speed, or something along those lines. So I cruise, or maybe a cruise ship. There's obviously ship references, shipwrecks, searching for sunken treasure and all that. So cruise is an interesting word choice. And then along a road I know, which is really interesting. This road he knows. So is that just because that he spent months in the Rocky Mountains and he searched this area a lot and he's cruising down this road that obviously he knows because he's traveled it down a lot? Or is it a hint to possible, let's say he lives in California, right? LA. And there is a road close to him that is the exact same road name as where he hid the treasure. Something along those lines. Or maybe where he grew up. I know, shout out to Estes Quest YouTube channel. He brought up a solve where he took a certain road that was where he grew up, JCB grew up, and then tied it to a road in Colorado. So maybe it's along those lines. I don't know. And then the next line reads, and park my car just off the side. So to me, it sticks out that he says, I park my car just off the side. So to me, that means he's pulling over just off of it, which means that it's not a detour where you go and it's a parking lot, far off that road that he's talking about. It's just off the road. So in my mind, following the clues in the poem, you're going to find certain maybe landmarks. And once you get to that certain spot on that road, you're going to have to park it off, just off the road. And I don't know if there's a parking lot or maybe you just park right off the side on a dirt road or something. I don't know. But just off the side stuck out in my mind. Next line reads, near where I'd searched for heavy loads. Didn't say where I searched for the blaze or the treasure. He searched for heavy loads. So obviously that's in Forrest Fenn's poem. There'll be heavy loads in water high. So he was searching for heavy loads, which I thought was interesting. So was that where his original solve for Forrest Fenn's poem broke down and he couldn't find heavy loads? Or is that just a reference to the treasure being heavy? Because Forrest Fenn had to take 2 trips to hide the treasure because obviously gold is really heavy. So, next line reads, it was not there, although I'd tried. So obviously tried, he didn't find Forrest Fenn's chest, and but I think I skipped over a part I wanted to go over. So he says near where I'd search for heavy loads. So he's parking his car near where he was searching. It's not where he was searching for the chest, it's near there. So we're not looking for or following his exact solve. We're looking for something different. And I will get to that here in a minute. Second stanza reads, begin it where cool water flows. So that first stanza, I feel, is just an introductory. He's introducing us just like Forrest Fenn did in his poem. The first part was an introductory kind of statement. So he says, begin it, which is obviously your journey, or whatever you want to call it, chase, where cool water flows. So 2 things. There's water flowing for one, so it's moving, so you're looking for a stream or a river. something along those lines where the water's moving. And then the water's not cold, but it's cool. So, is that maybe a color, a cool color, maybe like a river or a stream that has that's named something associated with cool, as in, like, let's say blue is a cool color or something along those lines. But if you're in the Rocky Mountains, I've spent my whole life in them. Most, if not 99% of the water is cold. It is very cold to the touch. Even in the summer months, moving water is generally from snowmelt and it's cold. So why is this water cool? And then the next thing is, in Forrest Fenn's poem, it starts it out as begin it where warm waters halt. It's plural, waters. In JCB's poem, it's cool water flows. So something to think about. Next line, and follow through the canyon round. So you're following this cool water that's flowing, and you're going to go through the canyon round. Obviously, there's water, so most likely there's going to be a canyon. So you're just following this water wherever it goes. So in Forrest Fenn's poem, there was like a definite starting point where warm waters halt. In JCB poem, he says begin it where cool water flows, which honestly could be anywhere, really. It's not a definite, really, starting point in my mind. So, anyways, you're taking this cool water flows and you're falling through the canyon round. Take in the rolling highs and lows. So take in the scenery. Rolling highs and lows could be rapids of the water or maybe even the canyon and mountains themselves. And this is a big one because I feel like this is most likely the starting point, or how you can know where the cool water flows, is it says, pass by a place where once was brown. So if you break this down, you're passing by a place where once was brown, not where it was brown or that was brown. It's where once was brown. And brown is capitalized, just like Forrest Fenn's poem. So it's a person, place, or thing. So obviously we're passing by a place, so let's mark that off. And then where once was brown. So to me, it makes sense just reading it like that brown is a person. Or like let's use brown trout, because that's, I don't know, generally what people think brown was in Forrest Fenn's poem with the solve. A specific type of brown. So this brown, if you want to use a person or let's say brown trout or something along those lines, it's not there anymore. Once was brown. So in your solve, you need to make sure that wherever this place where brown was, he's not there anymore, or it's not there anymore. To me, I've seen people using like Brown's Park. Well, it's still named Brown's Park, but you have to use a specific person for that. You know what I mean? You need to narrow it down where this brown person was, and they're not there anymore. It needs to be a specific point because you need to pass by it. Okay, stanza 3. From here, you are more on your own. So questions pop up in my mind. So obviously you're traveling in a car. You're going through a canyon. I don't think you want to walk through a canyon. We don't know how far you need to travel, but you need to pass by a place where once was brown, and then you're more on your own. So maybe this is more boots on the ground type that you need to see this stuff. Maybe you can solve it up until there, but now he's going to tell you what you're going to see, and maybe you can't find it on Google Earth or anything like that. So if you stop your car or not, I don't know. That's still a question to be had, because in the introductory stanza 1, he says, I park my car just off the side. So we need to figure out where you need to park your car. All right, next line says, The path is always drawing nigh. So, the path is drawing nigh, it's getting closer. Nigh could also mean it's on the left-hand side. So, maybe this path is on the left-hand side. Next line, the compass points now towards the home of point and tree and seeing eye. So it's interesting that he says the compass points now. Are you supposed to have a compass beforehand using it earlier on? Or, why didn't he say the compass points towards the home of point and tree and seeing eye? So him saying now stuck out in my mind. And then a big thing that I see people keep missing is the words the home. It's not the compass points now towards point and tree and seeing eye. He says the home of point and tree and seeing eye. So what possibly could that mean? What is the home of point and tree and seeing eye? So just using that phrasing, it makes me think that the point, tree, and seeing eye are all together. It's one thing instead of a point, let's say a lookout or something, lookout point, and then there's trees, and then people are looking out, obviously the seeing eye, right? So a lookout or something. It has to be one thing, and it has to be the home of. So you need to figure out what the home is. Like, what does that mean to figure out point, tree, and seeing eye? So really read this poem slowly and think about it. Next stanza, stanza 4. Stop just beyond the camper's blaze. So is this where you stop your car? Because obviously you're going to keep going looking for this treasure. It's not this is where it's at, because he says near here later on in the next stanza. So stop just beyond the camper's blaze. So if that's the point where you park your car, obviously it can't be like a campfire, because it's going to be hard to see that, you know what I mean, if you're on this path. So if you're stopping your car there, Camper's Blaze, to me, would be a sign for a camp spot. Or possibly Camper's Blaze, maybe it was a fire started possibly by, people camping. But stop just beyond the Camper's Blaze. A thinker's stone is all you need. And there is a lot of talk about what a thinker's stone is. I am not going to get into that, but if you look it up, it could be a certain type of rock or mineral. I can't remember. Another shout out to There's Treasure Inside, the unofficial podcast. They talked about the thinker's stone and had some good ideas. So a thinker's stone is all you need. The spot is set with marvel gaze. So to me, that means, it's really pretty where this spot is at. You're going to look out and it's going to be beautiful. A white mark shows upon the seat. And so just reading this, to me, you're stopping beyond the camper's blaze, whether that's a sign or whatnot. So you're stopping and you need to have this thinker's stone. To me, that means you need to think about what you're looking for. Obviously, I think it's in a rock outcropping of some kind, and there's going to be a white mark along this specific rock outcropping. That's what I take out of it. Then it says near here, so it's not that at that place. So you're going to continue after you stop. Near here, it's nestled all in a dream. So nestled is an interesting word to use, and he says all in a dream. In my next video, I am going to go over this chapter and talk about some possible hints within this chapter that I think could bring you back to this dream theme that he has going on. Next line, I've other treasures left to hide. So this was either the first or one of the first treasures that he hid. He got inspiration from Forrest Fenn, so obviously I think this was probably one of the first spots he thought about hiding a treasure chest. Um, Makes sense. He would use his solve. He would kind of go off of the style and stanza with the poem and then hide it where he was looking. So to me, it would make sense that this was the very first hiding spot that he thought about. But this next line is really big, I think. And he says, I'll miss the golden bending stream. So it's interesting that he uses the words golden. Could be a hint towards the name of it or where it's located, or maybe it's just the light reflecting off the river, at dusk or dawn. And then it says bending, so it's not a straight stream, it's bending. Obviously, a lot of streams bend, or all of them bend, but stream. He doesn't say river, he says stream. So to me, this golden bending stream, just jumping forward to the next stanza, is where warm waters halt. That's the ending point, and that's what you're looking for, is the golden bending stream. Next line is a throwaway line, I think, but I must go back to my ride. All right, last stanza. So listen well and hear me all. Your efforts will be worth the high. If you can mark warm waters halt, you'll bring it back full weight and dry. So the first line, so listen well and hear me all. Here is misspelled. In the first edition, I believe he has changed the spelling to H-E-A-R instead of H-E-R-E. And so that line says, hey, listen up. This is going to be really important. Your efforts will be worth the high. In Forrest Fenn's poem, he said, your efforts will be worth the cold. Obviously, I keep saying obviously. I don't want to say that because we technically don't know the correct solve because it's never been confirmed by Jack or any video evidence of Forrest Fenn stating it. But there was a river crossing. And so he says your efforts, will be worth the high. Now that could be a reference to the high altitude. That could be a reference to your just emotions, being high and being close to the treasure or finding it, something along those lines. But this is really interesting. If you can mark warm waters halt, why does he say mark? Why doesn't he say if you can find, or if you found where warm waters halt, you bring it back full weight and dry? He says if you can mark where. I keep saying where, but he doesn't say where. If you can mark warm waters halt. So that really sticks out. Why does he say mark? Could it be a reference to finding that white mark that shows upon the seat? Maybe that's the key to finding it. I don't know. You'll bring it back full weight and dry. So obviously there is no river crossing like Forrest Fenn's one, and you'll bring it back full weight. Could be a hint in there somewhere. I don't know. But anyways, that's the poem. So you need to go through it line by line, word for word, really think about it. Just from experience searching for Forrest Fenn's treasure, I hear it all the time. Oh, well the point in tree and seeing eye, it could be this tree, and it could be this and that, and they read it superficially and then just go find a place. And that is not how you're going to figure this out. You need to read this chapter and have each single part figured out before you go look. Trust me, it's going to save you time and money. And you can't use any preconceived notions. I search for it here. I think, it fits my search area, so I'm going to go look. Jack solved Forrest's poem not by looking at the poem, but really researching where Forrest Fenn wanted to die. Obviously, JCB doesn't want to die in the spot, but we can't use that. But we really got to research JCB, his thoughts on Forrest Fenn, how he approached the solve, and JCB goes over that in this chapter. So we really got to look at JCB and try to figure out what he means by these things. And JCB was a searcher for 4 years, so obviously he knows how hard it was to decipher it. And so, just in my opinion, he would probably give clues to this poem somewhere within this chapter. Else, honestly, if he didn't, we're going to be searching for this thing for the next decade or more, unless he releases more information. Forrest Fenn's poem took 10 years, and he had 3 memoirs and hundreds of interviews, and his poem led you directly to the blaze, and you're supposed to look down. JCB doesn't give us that. He says a white mark shows upon the seat, and it's near that. So you're going to have to spend some time, boots on the ground, looking for this treasure. So if you go out, I would reserve more than one day at a hotel, and definitely do a grid search if you think you're in the right area, because his poem kind of gives you a general area, not necessarily a blaze that's exact. So just something to think about. I really hope that this treasure hunt was well thought out and JCB made this thing solvable, and actually put hints and clues within this chapter to do that. So that's just kind of a overview, I guess, of this poem. Like I said, we can dive really deep into it, going word for word and looking up definitions and synonyms and all of that. But for right now, I'm just going to do an overview because I really want to go through this chapter, because there is some things that I think could help out in this chapter, but not necessarily with the whole poem. And some of it you may just have to be boots on the ground to see. But to be a good poem and a good treasure hunt, there has to be some definites that lead you to a specific spot, so at least you're in the right area. You know what I mean? Else, it's pretty much just a wild goose chase, and this poem fits, 10,000 places within the Rocky Mountains. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Next video is going to be going over the Forrest Fenn chapter, and kind of doing an overview of that and just things that I see that stick out and that could possibly help us solve this thing. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next video. If you do want to get a hold of me, I am going to put my email in the description below. I don't know if I said that in the last video, which I didn't, but I'm going to do that. If you want to reach out to me, bounce ideas off, you saw something in the book that you want to share, or you just want to get my opinion, hit me up. That was one of my favorite things about having this YouTube channel, doing Forrest Fenn content, was just communicating with people that listen to my video. So it was really fun. I gained a lot of relationships, a lot of friends from that Forrest Fenn hunt, and I'm looking forward to doing the same thing. So if you haven't listened to Essie's Quest, he makes great content. There's Treasure Inside Unofficial Podcast. I've been listening to them. They've put out some good content, and then obviously K-Pro and Calazar's channel is also great as well. And I did see a Gypsy's Kiss is starting to make videos. They're kind of doing a weird AI thing, which I don't like. I always liked Toby and Shelly, and I enjoyed listening to their voices and seeing them personally. So hopefully they'll get back to that in the future. But all right, guys, I'll leave my email, and I will see you guys in the next video.